This is Patito's gang. Elections are few days or few weeks away, 2019 elections, the presidential election on the 15th of February, and the governorship and other elections on the in March. So, but we still have killings. What has politics got to do with killings? Innocent people losing their lives. Nigeria seems to be at war with itself, and that those ruling us seem not to have the solution to stop these killings. These are some of the issues that we at Patito's gang will like to focus on, so that we try and profile solutions so that government can think of new ways of approaching this matter. We have herdsmen, farmers still fighting each other. We have Boko Haram. We have other things, kidnapping going on. Even as these elections come up, more killings. Well, the gang. So what do you think?
Well, like you rightly observe, Austin, the spate of killings and maiming of political figures and others, calls for concern. Another thing that I've noticed also is that mindset that politics is seen as a do or die affair. And life has become so cheap. But even if we see some of these political figures that will continue to make use of thugs, that will perpetrate this heinous crime, they will not watch either their child or their children being hit by bullets or being maimed. So I think that one of the things that we'll have to call for more concern is the security architecture. Our security must be proactive, and people must organize less and organize more. And if our politicians also realize that, it will do them good if they preside over the living than marching over the graves of the dead. I'm sure that such will prick their conscience.
Why would they want it stopped? It's who they are. Now, but I think more fundamentally...
Who they are? Who are these people?
These politicians.
Well, I'm one of them, but that's not who we are.
It really doesn't count, because this has been with us since elections in 1959.
Okay. Now, the question then, therefore, is...
Fundamentally,
it's got to do with politics.
It's penchant. Let's not even situate it into politics alone.
Yeah.
It pervades virtually every aspect of our living, because it's that penchant and our love for titles. Even when people know they are not qualified for it. People don't want to go through processes. They don't want to be, evaluated based on what they can do. So if you know you are lacking, but because we have the penchant, we love titles, you want to do any and everything to get that power. It's beyond politics, in virtually every aspect of the society.
So what has politics got to do with the killing? And the truth of the matter is, if I can take your mind back, how Boko Haram started. I was told, and we all read, that a governor then, I don't want to mention name, uses them as political talks.
No, it happened in Rivers.
Good.
It happened in Rivers in the past.
Not even only
It happened.
So the fact lies that you can't train a killer squad, and all of a sudden you want to make them to understand their way of life is not the right way. So the truth of the matter is that our politicians, of which you are one of them, I concede that to you. No, for us, for real.
My brand of politics is different.
No, not really. Yeah. We are not saying that all politicians are bad or whatever, but we are saying that their policies has brought about the killing all over.
Yeah.
Now, it's not about policies.
It is their policy.
Policy in the sense that...
Let me argue on that a little bit.
How about those who are not in power?
those who are not in power,
And
they are
they're
not
seeking power, yet they instigate violence.
no, but they are learning from those who are
They are not
already
learning
in
from
there.
anybody.
They're already-
Well, I can rightly say that there is a nexus between politics and killing, because this has been on, for a very long time.
And that's why I say it's a reflection of who we are.
There's a need for the change of mindset.
In places where they vie for the traditional rulerships of kingship, there is violence. Civil society, in professional groups, when they are vying for positions, there is violence. So
Now,
I'm
if there's a
saying,
nexus between politics and killings. Does it happen in any other nation? Or
No,
just,
no, that's what I was going to say. It does not.
now, would it be
Maybe
that?
Africa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could it be that because we have chosen the wrong system, political system, that's why we are.
when you say political system, how do you mean?
No,
You see that democracy, for instance.
No, doc, that's a separate thing. But let's stay on this topic. You see, you asked the question: does it happen in other
Yes.
society, other crimes? The truth of the matter is, no, it does not. And the reason why
Maybe Africa.
ours is different is because we have not really educated the populace on what actually democracy is all about.
You see, you're
It's
going to
not,
a
it's not
point.
about education.
No,
per se.
no, no,
Wait,
that's the point. That's education
Yes,
has a lot to do with it.
No matter how you educate people, you see, let's see, regardless of what methods you use and what you do to educate people, when people are hungry, poor, and devastated, you dangle goodies before them. They will do that for which, wait, I'm coming. They will do that for which you want them to do, because it's an addition, it's a source of income and livelihood. But
biggest industry
is
in
the
some
price, the price attached to political office is what causes politicians to spend their last dime, to cause violence so that they manipulate the voting process. Look at the kind of emoluments that we read in the pages of papers that our parliamentarians get. Compare that to, say, the United States of America, where the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Paul Ryan, was said to be finding it difficult even to meet up on expenses, that sometimes he had to sleep in Capitol Hill. For the period that Joe Biden was in the Senate, he still used to ride on trains to Capitol Hill. Now, what I'm saying is, compare that to the typical parliamentarian in the House of Representatives or Senate in Nigeria and the kind of money they go home with. So that makes the guy who wants to get that power.
I just don't want us to get lost, because there are many branches of all these things.
That's
we're
what I'm
talking
saying.
about
So
here.
if
But-
we situate it
okay,
to what
just a
causes
second,
things,
just a second.
we see that the price...
The cost of it cannot be separated from educating people, education. Because I keep saying this, we all know that Nigerians were not yet ripe for this brand of democracy we're trying to practice. And the truth of the matter lies that our politicians are using that as an advantage against us. But if we are educated, knowing fully well that, listen, if you're going to send me out to go and die, why not bring your children? If we all know that, you get the point. Yes.
My own is that we are all born tabula rasa, as with our mind as black as slave. So the education
The guy in the
we are
village who
talking
does
about-
not have education, doesn't know where his next meal is coming from, as far as he's concerned, is an avenue for him to get noticed. So if you educate him, if you educate him, what difference does he make?
Part of education is having the right mindset.
That's all I'm saying.
When
It's
you
all-
inculcate
it's the
the
mindset.
The right mindset.
even if a person is poor,
Yes.
I mean, you see someone has no job, that person will commit suicide.
And besides,
Another person-
that's an excuse. What you're saying is an excuse to perpetuate evil. Because just because somebody is poor does not give any grounds for that person to take everything.
The individuals who are being used have no sense of discernment. And it comes again back to the fact that the politicians who get into power have refused to invest money in education so that you liberate people's minds. So when you call a guy out to use guns and weapons to destroy another person, the guy will ask himself, why do I have to do this? But because that guy doesn't have the sense of discernment, he barely does not know his right from his left. And it's what Oga tells him to do. That he could. So, because it should amaze us that For nearly 60 years, we haven't come to say this thing can be stopped. It happens every election cycle. So there must be a reason why it does happen.
The reason is that the system we run is faulty, that we need to crash it and go back to the one that works for us.
Which
evolve
is,
a system.
Which is?
I don't know the name. All we need to do is to sit down, go back to our culture. How do we
Will people vote?
Hold on. How do we elect people in our communities, in our villages, in the past? How did we go about it?
Were there no violence?
No, there were not. Community, those days, usually teachers used to be the leaders that way. Headmasters and all that. How do they emerge?
In those days, impunity was not condoned.
Yes.
If there was any violence,
Those are part of our culture.
Yes.
Perpetrators will be caught.
Yes.
Why there is violence is that this is alien to us.
You know why?
This winner takes all. Zero sum politics.
Because the
why-
price at stake in those your community engagements were not high.
Because people were offering themselves for service.
You know why?
That service has been taken away from this.
That's the point.
So the biggest industry now.
So that's the point.
Biggest-
Let's go back to the fundamentals.
Yeah.
It's not about the system. It's
It
about
is
the document that guarantees or that shapes how we engage in public
Constitution-
office.
The Constitution,
Maybe the
no doubt.
Constitution.
Yeah, the Constitution, no doubt, is a certain point. Once we get the Constitution right, every other thing, you build on it. But the point is that, the point Ike made about education, Nigeria's problem is not anything else but education. There is a certain level of literacy level, literacy level that you require to build a nation, to grow a nation, even to develop an economy. We're at 47% literacy level. Yes. We are still far below to run the election we're running. Yes. He said no, it's below to even develop our economy.
So there should be continuous reorientation, awareness,
yes,
at all times.
Yeah. Let's hold it there. Okay. When we return, we'll go on break, and then when we come back, we'll go and go to talk to our people on the street, and then when we return, we continue the debate. Don't go away. You're still watching Potatoes Gang. Let's go to the street.
When the government is saying that way, it will be reduced. We don't want people that are just striving to get there.
The killing, violence is caused by politicians. The greedy and win at all cost syndrome of our politicians is the real cause of killing and violence during the elections.
It's very worrisome because we've been on a continuous drive, especially for the young Nigerians, to stop being apathetic, to get their PVC and then come out on that day and vote. And not just voting, but staying back to ensure their vote counts, just monitoring the process. So it's very unfortunate if violence now mars this good effort to get these young ones involved. For most young Nigerians, this will be their first election they're participating in. So it's imperative that we keep it as peaceful and credible as possible to encourage them to continue to participate in elections. I'm also very positive because of the new Inspector General of Police, Adamu, Acting IG Adamu. I'm very confident in his competence to ensure that he's assuring Nigerians that the elections will be peaceful, will not happen.
Diversity must be acknowledged and must be appreciated. That's what makes us the largest population of the black race in the world. Nigeria is what it is because of that great diversity that we have.
We're waiting for somebody all the time to come solve the problems of Africa. When our good people in the continent tell us how to do it, we don't believe it. We don't trust them. When our own businessmen do well, we don't celebrate them. No country industrializes another one.
What Africa needs are strong institutions. Everybody accepts that. What Africa tends to do is build strong men, which is completely different from good leaders.
You're welcome back. You're still watching Potatoes Gang, and we're discussing the killings and the 2019 elections. What is the nexus? And Ike was saying that, that education is a key thing.
Yes.
And that,
And that we should not be making excuses.
Yeah, excuses that
Why?
people are poor.
Just because people are poor.
No, but again.
That's the argument he's
No,
trying
but
to bring
again,
in.
Charles is
Yes.
right. There are three major things that cause this kind of thing. One is literacy level education. Two is poverty.
Yes.
Okay? Those are the two major things.
Yes, but
see, because poverty, illiteracy, and democracy, they don't mix.
That one we know.
Yeah.
But
So
is
if
it-
education, why education is important? Because it liberates you from poverty. It delivers you. Okay? Once you're educated.
You will liberates your mind first and foremost.
Yes.
The power of discernment. You see, it's not about making excuses. You're not in those shoes.
Yes.
Maybe you need to interact with the people in the villages. I do.
Yes.
You see, it's not about making excuses. It's about discernment. If you like, preach from today till thy kingdom come. People cannot rise above what they don't know. So, do they even have access to, you say you want to educate them on why they shouldn't do this. Do they even have access to the media that you want to use to propagate discourses to them? They live with what they see. These are the politicians that they live off them.
You need some of the things that we have done at the level of Women Arise. It's going from house to house, go to the marketplace.
Then after you do all that and you leave, so what happens?
Go to the motor parks. We tell them, I mean, if one has not made any attempt, we might be worse off.
No, the
So
reason why, the reason why I'm asking you this is that what you're doing is important. How come after all of these that you do, these things persist? I am saying that the fundamental is maybe when we talk about it, civil society, part of what we should be doing is we must force the hands of politicians to allocate more funds, as UNESCO has said, minimum of 25% of our annual budget to education. We must start from the primary level to educate our people. People don't even know civic rights. If we don't do that, for as long as the people's minds are not liberated, they will do what you tell them to do. Because they don't have the power of discernment. In their mind's eye, they don't even know whether it's right or wrong. It's what they have been told to do.
We still have to assist the National Orientation Agency to carry out more awareness. Because
no, they ended when Jerry Ghana stopped being MAMSA director. It's comatose, even now.
You see, those things are flashes in the pan. If you like, create MAMSA, create National Orientation Agency, create Ministry of Information, establish FRC and NTA. All of these things are surfaces. Who are you talking to? Do these things permeate? If we don't invest in education and train people and make people,
there's no doubt about all of this education is important.
No, the point I'm saying is that until we deal with these fundamental issues of starting and dealing with things from the basics, all of these cosmetic things, because they have happened to aplenty.
No,
4 years after, 4 years after, excuse me, 4 years after, we'll come back and talk about this.
So what do we do?
That's the point.
That's where to go to. Okay. And now I've said so.
Mine is that the first is that there must be a change of mindset. That mindset has
whose mindset? The politician of the...
No, everyone. There was politicians must play by the rule of the games. Followers
they won't voluntarily do.
Politicians must play by the rule of the games. If they do not, then there is a law and there's no one is above that law. They must be brought to book.
Be a force stronger than them to compel them to. But if it is moral suasion, they will not do. Because what they are chasing
followers
after,
themselves too need
the followers who don't have sense of discernment.
No, I said followers themselves. You see
the
some followers blindly doing things.
Why are they doing it? Because there is something in it for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the elite group, they have a bigger role to play.
The most complicit.
Yes. Because one is that in every society, they determine the direction of that society. They determine the economic direction, political direction of any society. Therefore, the Nigerian elite are they are the most complicit in this matter. Why Nigeria is still like this? Because one, they don't vote. Two, they are the ones that, So if we have the more the elites that will take politics and offer themselves to serving the people, see politics as service.
No, Madam have just made a comment here. I think Charles echoed it, saying that there has to be rules of the game. As if there are no rules of the game. There is a rule that we all plays on as far as election is concerned. But the fact, which is looking for solution, the solution is what she have just said. One, people need to be reoriented. I'm not just talking about those who are the politicians or the masses. Both have to know that election is not do or die affairs. And for you to do that, you have to, if either through a template, there are people who want to participate within that space. Must follow.
So
that is all there is.
So we have to have political tolerance.
Of course.
And we have to understand, through this education, we understand that politics is like a cycle. It comes. If it's not your turn now, you wait. Sure, you want to serve the people.
And we need to take away desperation out of the equation.
Yeah, because it's incentive.
Yes, because a lot
of incentive attached to political office.
I need to give you an example. I was reading something and I just laughed about the two gladiators. Of course, we know them. We don't want to mention them. The opposition and those who are the saddle. And somebody was saying that, oh, if this person loses, this will be his last election. If the other person wins, this will be his last election. So these two people are drumming up sentiment that we have to play on. And to me, what's our business?
No, even
if any of them loses, what's our business? The truth of the matter, the country must continue to be in existence. And the election must, it's a cycle, like you rightly said. So we need to give away and forget about all these things and vote for our future.
And let's also remember our security agencies. They must remain impartial. They must be proactive. Government must have enough political will, because no one can be exonerated from these needless killings. Anyone that is killed today might,
Let me just say this. From what I'm hearing, from what I'm feeling inside of me, if we are not careful, if we don't put our personal interests aside and face the future of this nation, the future of our children, to build a nation where our children will be more comfortable instead of running away to Canada, to US and all that.
Incitement has to stop by the politicians. Because
sorry I'm cutting you in. When you say these things have to stop by politicians, what is the motivation for them to stop it?
Well, the motivation is they will be held accountable.
Who has held them accountable?
No, wait.
That's why we need.
I'm a lawyer, so I will not put law aside. No, whether you think it works or it doesn't work. Yeah,
that's what we're saying. Is that I give you example. Identify the things that are not working. So let's begin to talk of the things that will work short term, medium term, and long term. Short term for me is example of what has happened to the supposed trial of the CJN, when Nigerians called out the government to say, we think the path you're going on is wrong. Yes. And we're seeing the way they are backtracking. Yes. I think that's a short term. Medium term, let's begin to talk about constitutional review. The constitution that we have, that we operate on, the incentives to be a politician and capture elections are too high. So we can preach all we can. The guys are there in the villages now campaigning. They know the people who will vote. They are acquiring voters register.
Let the debate continue on the social platforms, the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and a whole lot you can see on your screen. Don't let it stop here. Let us, until we, get to a situation where Nigeria will be a place our children will grow up safe and sound and can express their God-given talents and visions and business. Thank you. See you next week.